We have been here before. Yes, OGs unite. We've all been in drawdowns. We've all had these types of movements, and they absolutely suck. It's hard for everyone. It's not just hard for VCs. It's not just hard for retail. It's not just hard for KOLs. It's hard for everyone. This cycle has been very taxing. It taxed us like the government taxes us. It took and took and took. Worked and worked and worked. We only got 50% of our gains. It's kind of how we feel, shortchanged on this cycle. And I'm gonna give you some insights into like what I see actually the bigger picture happening here and why it's happening. I've talked about the rate cuts. I've talked about, how they kind of have to force this, this renegotiation of the debt. How are they going to do that? I talked about that in my last video. But what I want to talk about this video is what is the actual play? How can you maximize on this play? And what can you do at home right now to kind of plan for what the next steps would be and what I'm doing and what I've been doing? Because I've been very transparent. I did not like the way the market looks. So when I see that happen, I do take heavy profits. I do try to get out of trades. But I would be lying to tell you that I was perfect this cycle. And I'd be lying to tell you that I haven't overexposed myself to too many coins, which I've consolidated into the ones I believe in the most, which I've told you guys to do. So let's jump into where we're at in the cycle, give you guys a little bit perspective. What happened with Bitcoin? Is this over? Can we go lower? Where could we go to? Does the CME gap really matter or is there real support? So I'm gonna give you guys my whole thought process between what's happened in this market on a macro level and what likely is going to be the next steps, as well as looking at some charts and seeing are there any opportunities here? And if not, what can you do to try to wait for the right time? Patience and time in the market matter the most here because most of the real fund managers are looking at where they should buy now, not where they should sell. Things are ugly and it doesn't matter. It's time for us to take accountability for our actions. If we've been lazy, let's take accountability. If we have made bad trades, let's take accountability. Because remember, in this market or any market, your fail is not what defines you. Failure in life is not what defines you. If you make mistakes, it's a learning process. You don't fail, you learn. And so how do we take what's going on right now as a positive? Well, the positive is you've learned what not to do. You've learned to make a better plan. And so have I. I'd be lying to tell you that everything was pure rainbows this cycle for anyone. It's been harsh, and I think things are going to get better, but they might take some time. It might take until this October coming up for us to recover from this. And this is what Trump is basically setting us up for. And yeah, short-term pain, long-term gain is what I'm seeing here because you're seeing the policies, but it's really, really important to understand what to look for, what is happening, and try to understand it so that you can prepare yourself. Let's look at a few things first. Let's look at Bitcoin and where is it? Okay, so let's start with Bitcoin. What has happened to Bitcoin? McDonald's pattern. Talked about this as well. Now, any one of you who have not heard me talk about this, welcome. And this is what we're talking about. I imagined that we had a similar pattern. It was a little bit longer drawn out last cycle when we hit the top. Now, let's look at where we're at. We've had a 30% drawdown. Now, we've had 30% drawdowns on Bitcoin. I don't even know how many times in bull markets. We had a 30% drawdown, exactly almost. Will that be the bottom? Great question. Here's a few things to take in consideration. Number one, we did not fill the entire gap last time we came down. So we bounced, filled the upper gap first, and then now we're filling the lower gap. And as you can see right here in this box, we have yet another CME gap. Now, likely what will happen is something like last week where we dumped into that area and then all of a sudden we will get a move back up and fill this gap. Now that could take a while. And I'll tell you why it will take a while and potentially could take a little bit of time. Number one, there is no macro support at this level. This is last cycle over here. This is this cycle over here. We really have no support at that level. It's like literally this little baby support right here. So for this to hold, it would have had to be a manipulation play to fill the gap. It's more likely that we would come down into zones like this one around 70,000 because that's where actual support exists. Now that's scary. And if we actually go back to last cycle, it would be more something like between, we could look at maybe around 69, 70 as the top of last cycle, that it come and revisit that level. Now, if we go below that level, the idea that we had last cycle that we wouldn't go below 20K is bullshit, just like this one would be, that we wouldn't go back to the all-time high of last cycle. So the market has changed. It's not the same. And I'll give you reasons for it not being the same. So number one, vesting. Vesting has destroyed this market, and it will continue to destroy this market all the way into 2028, 2029, because there's tons of projects still vesting tokens at a high FDV. That's number one. Number two, we've had a huge shift, okay? And I'll explain why. Last cycle, and our total market caps only count the 125 top coins. So we go to total number one, that's Bitcoin and everything else. Total number two, that's without ETH and Bitcoin, right? And then number three is everything without ETH and Bitcoin, all the top 125 tokens. Now I'm gonna show you some stuff. Like last cycle, we were at similar levels on total number three, which means that we barely broke the all-time high this cycle of the entire altcoin market in the top 125. So why did that happen? Where did the money go? Well, we know that we had a nice start. And we had that nice start around October, and we started going up, and then we started seeing Bitcoin and other things starting to rally. But why did we go from this level to this level and not ever break it? Now there is something positive. It does look like a cup and handle was here and then broke up. That didn't, and it might have failed. This could be a gigantic cup and handle right here that could come back down and make a huge move up. Less likely. But where did the money go? And how many projects did we have when we were here? Because in 2021, we had about 300 to 500,000 projects. Analysts are saying 300, I'm saying maybe 500 because there was probably a bunch of garbage coins that didn't go anywhere, right? But we had 300,000 projects, like total. And the total 125 got to here. This cycle, we're at the same level. We still have how many projects? We have 10 to 100 million projects potentially. That's what I'm saying. Let's focus on 10. So we have way more projects this cycle. So then what happened? Why didn't total three go up if the 125 best projects in the entire crypto market are all added up together? Why did all of those projects only get to the same level of the cycle we had last? Here's the reality. Meme coins, greed, laziness, focusing on the wrong stuff for the right reasons. Let me explain what that means. Wrong stuff, meme coins, quick money, garbage projects, no fucking point of existing, no point of having any existence on this earth. They don't make money, they don't have a product, they don't have a service, they don't really have a team, they don't have anything. But what did they have? And why did people flock to those levels? Well, I've talked about this before. Memes were fair. Everything wasn't a overvalued shit coin that had no users, no product, no revenue, no nothing backing it, and that was worth $100 million market cap with literally nothing. And then they launched these tokens at these $100 million market caps, and they get extracted from VCs who set this up so that they could pump it, sell on every vesting, and dump on retail and get their money back. Retail gets smarter. People see this from last cycle and the cycle before. I talk about it. Everyone talks about it. Tokenomics. Retail gets smarter. Market matures. People see altcoins that actually have a product or service, don't actually have enough users, don't have enough revenue, and they keep getting dumped on by basically the VCs. So what happens next? People flock to meme coins because they have 100% TGE. They feel like they're fair. They're really cabaled. They're really insidered. They're the Trump and the millennials that we saw. They're insider plays. You don't get in until you're already a little bit late, and by the time you get in, it's probably starting to reverse, and you're thinking, it'll come back, it's Trump's coin. But it's in the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the entire world. What did you think was gonna happen? Now, this is the issue that we're facing. And if you wanna be real with yourself, we all got complacent. We all thought we knew more than we knew. We all didn't see this coming. We got blindsided by a market that honestly was completely different, and it was for not just us as retail to blame for going into the memes and doing the TikTok and all the garbage that was there. It was mainly because our market turned into the legacy market. We turned into the equity market. We made it unfair terms, letting bigger players beat the little guy. And so what happened is everyone did a GameStop, but they did it on such a grandiose scale that it sucked out all the liquidity that should be in this chart on Total 3, all that liquidity in Total 2 as well, that got sucked out of the market. Why? Because there was literally no point. So the reason why this all happened is basically that. So let's couple a couple things. We have the Trump coin, insider play, meme coin, insider play. Few people get rich, most people get poor. It almost feels like this cycle they're trying to punish the OGs for thinking that they knew what they were talking about, or for basically saying, we just don't want these guys to be rich. We don't really want to have too many rich people in this world. And that's really what it feels like. It feels like they really want to push those people out that got lucky and push people in that aren't lucky, that are big, large scale institutional players. So when we see this extraction from alt markets to meme markets, and then the meme markets suck out that liquidity out of the market, and they pull it all into USDT and they put it into stables, because we know stable coins are actually growing all the time. There's more and more of them. So this is where we're at right now, and it's not looking good. And there's other factors as well. So let me just give you some real talk here. Trump said to prepare for this, that he was going to drain the swamp. Literally exactly his words. We're going to drain the swamp. Now the swamp is a bunch of rich people in the deep state that don't want to see anyone succeed. We see X go down yesterday. We see Teslas get burned up. We see a lot of crazy liberals just going out of their mind about all the things that are happening, and they don't understand a couple facts. Facts number one, if Trump doesn't do this, inflation gets crazy. If Trump doesn't make foul print, everything is just very difficult for everyone. The markets have no liquidity. So how do we solve this? Trump goes, I'm going to refinance our debt. I'm going to bust the fucking markets down super hard. I'm going to tell all my friends this. I'm going to launch a meme coin. I'm going to let them make them a bunch of money. It's going to go to the top 10 fucking cryptocurrencies in the entire earth. And then I'm going to let them all cash out. And I'm going to prepare them because they know that it's about to get really rough for about 5 to 6, 7, 8 months a year. While he knew that, he's also lost about a few hundred million in World Liberty Financial. That's how much they're down. But I think they moved some assets out, but they're definitely down like at least $100 million, right? So that's scary for them too. So everyone's in this together, and Trump's probably down on his portfolios. So is Elon, massively. They knew this was going to happen. They were willing to sacrifice that. Elon was willing to sacrifice everything to make the world a better place, to fix all the problems that we have right now. And it's gonna be painful for the short term. They're gonna get to the point where they have to cut rates, where inflation gets a little bit into the level where they can do this. It's gonna get to the point where oil and gas go down, where cost of assets like clothes and food and eggs go down, because that is not something that happens overnight. You have to revalue everything. It has to become, more realistic to what it should be valued at. Eggs should not cost $8 a carton. They're basically made from chickens. Just buy a bunch of chickens and have a coop in your backyard. Most people don't have that. Most people don't know how to do that. But the point is, it doesn't cost that much. We've had attacks on all of these facilities. We've had E. coli and stuff inside of different chicken farms. It's almost been like there's a massive attack on the world. And I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory. There's so much data to back it up. So how do we go forward in this uncertainty? Well, while this uncertainty is created, while we're in this space, you have to understand you can't get emotional. The more emotional you get about this market right now, the dumber you're going to be. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't sell off if you need cash to live. You should definitely always have money to live. If you can weather the storm and not care where crypto is going to be in the shortest term, it doesn't really matter. But if you're in a position right now where you cannot afford to go 3 more months of this market, you need to probably think about what you can do so that you have cash flow to live. And if crypto is your entire life, you probably should look for a job. Yes, I know it's crazy, but even then, get some money in so you can live, so you can weather the storm. It will last a while longer. We could bounce tomorrow. You don't know. No one knows. But I showed you on Bitcoin's chart that we don't have the right parameters right now to have a real legit bounce unless it was very manipulated. And it is lately very manipulated because of all the things. And here's a really interesting one. Let me just show you guys something real quick. Last cycle, we had many 30% drawdowns. We even had a drawdown, remember we were talking about on the top and then summer happened, of 55%. We had drawdowns on the way up. And this is what we're used to, 30%. There's a 30% drawdown. Now, we were in bullish territory when that happened, right? So that's the difference. This time we're not in bullish territory. We were in bullish territory all the way up, all the way above the cloud. You can see the cloud right here. We're in bullish territory. We're in bullish territory. We're in bullish territory. We're almost in bearish right here. I talked about that. We bounced. We had an inverse head and shoulders. Then we went back over bullish territory. Then we came and ran into the cloud. You know what happened last cycle when we ran into the cloud? The exact same thing. It looked exactly the same. We started going sideways, broke into the cloud, broke below the cloud, retested the 200 EMA, was below it for quite some time until the end of summer, and then we started to get a bounce. And that was at a lot later time. Right now, it's much earlier in the cycle, but this cycle could be left-sided like people have talked about. I didn't want to believe it either. And it had the same effect. It's sideways movement into the cloud, below the cloud, retest the 200 EMA, and now where we're going is likely lower to 73, potentially 72, unless we get some kind of bounce, some kind of news. We just had lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. That tells us structure without even looking at the Ichimoku. The Ichimoku gave us all the other signals. We have a bearish Chiku span way below the candles. We have a bearish Kumo twist. We have our Kijin is flattened up above our Tenkin crossed down. All of these are bearish signs, and now we're below the cloud. Bearish sign. Everything is bearish. Now, that doesn't mean for the long term I'm bearish. It means right now that these types of market movements in the stock market, which is extremely bearish. Let me just show you the Ichimoku in the stock market because it's a different Ichimoku. Look at where that is. It looks exactly like Bitcoin. Everything is very similar. They're all rhyming and repeating. So I can see why people are freaking out and going into bonds. Here's bond market. Bond market's going up. Bonds are starting to get bought up because as people buy bonds, we can start getting into a better state for Trump. Flee out of the stock market, go into safe bonds, renegotiate the rates, bring prices down, let people eat for a reasonable price, get things back into check, and then pump the markets with QE because you can do it. You get rid of all this bullshit spending from billions of dollars on the Dodge stuff. You put this back into the economy and you build it back up. You give people money like we did with stimuluses, but instead of you're giving a stimulus, you're giving people their money back so that they can live, so they can spend, so they can invest. And guess what happened? The market will have some reaction to that. Now, if you're someone who can't handle short-term pain or you can't handle pain in crypto, welcome to crypto. This is not an easy industry. The volatility goes both ways. We make money, we lose money. You have to be able to do both. And you never, and this is a statement I will say over and over again, blame anyone else for your mistakes. If you invested and pushed a button, it doesn't matter what anyone said. This is on you to have risk management, to know your risk, your reward, and what you're willing to lose. If you don't have that, you're gonna point fingers at everyone your whole life. The reality is, winners don't do that. Winners take accountability. I take accountability. I know the things that I should have done or I could have done, and those are my fault. Had I sold when I first started getting bearish everything, I would be up tens, millions of dollars. That's the reality. So what I'm trying to get at is all of us have to take accountable. A lot of us OGs got lazy. We got lazy. We didn't want to put the work in. We didn't know what to do because it was all meme focused and we don't do memes. So it's been a hard cycle and we're going to be okay. And you're going to be okay. And if you're not feeling like you're going to be okay, go outside, go for a walk, spend some time with your family. Money's just money. It's just an energy. If you bring the right energy to life, money will come. You got to have the right mentality to be a winner. Millionaires become millionaires far before they actually have $1 million because it's here. So make sure that you focus on this right now. You are only in control of your actions, your brain, your thoughts. Stop talking bad about yourself, woulda, coulda, shoulda. It doesn't matter. What can you do right now? Go and do it. Figure out the plan. Stop lulling in and being sad about it and start doing, because there's nothing that will change if you don't do anything. So figure it out. It's not going to be easy. No one told me it was going to be easy when I got in crypto. Everyone told me to quit and not do it. I still did it anyways. I made millions and made other people millions. But the reality is this cycle is different. We're going to be okay though. Now, with all that said, I hope that gave you some motivation to remember that life is more than just crypto and that these charts and these markets will bounce at some point. They always do. They always do. Can you weather the storm? Like I said in my tweets, get in a project you believe in, that you're certain will be here in a while. If you're not as certain but you believe in them still, sell some. So you can buy back lower if you want to buy in, if you're not sure. But do something that you can do, that you are in control of right now. Okay, moving on from that, let's look at where our trading bots are. Because I told you I'll be very transparent. They're on day number 7. So our USDT bot is in trades right now. Yes, it's down $3,500. But if we get a 5% bounce today, this is going to go in profit. And these do this all the time. It's a spot bot, right? It's got risk management built in. We know where it's going to go. We're not too concerned about this. They have been running for years through the whole entire drawdown we've had in this entire drawdown, right? And they're making money. So don't worry about short-term stuff. I'm not worried about this at all. I'm going to keep showing you, even though it's a loss, because I'm transparent. Many other people wouldn't do that, but I'll do that. And that's how it works. So yes, we're in some losses in terms of the spot value of these assets, but where we bought them in, this is going to give us a chance. All right, so we'll continue showing you where we're at every single day, good or bad. I'm gonna show you everything transparently. Now let's look at our other bot. We have the Coach K bot for BTC, and that one's crushing. That one's up almost 1.2% this month since I started 7 days ago. So yes, Bitcoin's price is down, but if you're an OG and you believe in crypto and you're in a Bitcoin maxi, who gives a shit if the price of Bitcoin goes down in the short term? Do you believe in Bitcoin long term like I do? If you do, accumulating more Bitcoin without having to, stress about it, I think is a great thing. Our P&Ls are amazing on this account, right? We have not lost a single trade. Not one. Let me show you. Fully transparent. We have not lost a single trade. We've closed 23 longs, 0 short closes, 100% win rate, inverse perpetual swaps, print. That's all it's done is print. Regardless of the price of Bitcoin, you can see where it's bought, where it's sold, everything, fully transparent. It has not lost. Even the spot bot hasn't lost. It just has not had an exit yet. We could get that this week. It could take 2 weeks, but we will go back up. That's the reality. We're not just gonna go down forever. We might bounce today and try to fill the gap that's above us, right? We do have a gap right here to 87. Now, if we get to that gap, my plan here is this. I am going to sell off a lot of assets because a lot of stuff will go up there, and I will look to short potentially that level because it still would need to make a higher high, and that would take to be above 93K. So we would have to break above that, make a high above this level right here, and start seeing maybe even above our former CME gap, up above there, and then we would start getting bullish. But right now, let's not kid ourselves here. This is where we're at. And let me just show the Ali Ichimoku because that shows where we're at on without the stock market numbers, and we can see that. So our gap's filled. We have another gap to fill. It's very likely because of how close it is that we might fill them both. We almost filled this one in like 2 days. Keep your eyes out for that. Have a plan. It hasn't done it yet. Hopefully it hasn't done it yet by the time this video comes out. But that's where we're at. The bots are transparent. So that's where we're at right now. And if you have a long-term plan in this space, you're gonna be fine. If you are stressing out, if the market's making you suicidal or scared to the point where you're feeling like you should hurt yourself, please go talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. I know I've seen a lot of this online. It scares me for other people. Money is just money. You can make it back. You can make it all in a year back. You can become a millionaire in a year like I did. That is a possibility in the world, always. So focus on what you can. And if you have to go back to a job and you have to suck it up, that's what you have to do. If I had to do that, I would go back to be a teacher again. Worst case scenario, right? We always have a backdrop. I have lots of skills that I've built up over my life. Let's focus on what we can control. Because number one, that's all we can do. Keep your mindset sharp. Watch motivational videos. Watch things that actually help you reset your mind and configure it. Tony Robbins events, he always says stuff like, watch the I Am a Warrior Tony Robbins thing and sit in your house and go, I am a warrior. Winter is my season. Why does he do that? It resets your mind to not be scared of what's coming. It resets your mind to be ready for what's coming and know that you're gonna crush it. That's what you need to do right now. Focus on how you can crush and what your next move is. And you're gonna be fine. And it might be hard. And you might have to start all over again at some point. But if you've done it once, you can do it again. So stay thirsty, stay smiling, enjoy your family, and be grateful where you are because there's a lot of people that have it worse than you. Much love, everybody.